Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint these easy red trees. I am going to show you step by step how to do it. It's going to be a super easy project. And I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat for our live show tonight. So if you have questions while I'm painting, you can ask those and I'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Okay, I decided to use an 8 by 16 inch canvas here. I've got a Pro Mixed Media board from Fredrix, but you can use really whatever size canvas you wanted to. It'd probably look good on a bigger canvas, one a little bit wider, but our reference photo was just kind of in this long format, and it kind of emphasizes the angles of the trees really well, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one tonight. You're going to need a couple of different brushes, and if you don't have these exact ones, that's fine, but just grab ones that are close to this. You'll want a large flat brush, so this one's a number 12 bright, and then you'll want an angle brush or some other kind of brush that'll do some lines for you for your trees. So I've got a few different angle brushes here. These are number 6 in the 6100 series with the green handle. These are the VelvetTouch 3/8 inch and 1/4 inch angles. And then I've also got a couple of smaller round brushes. So you might want to grab a smaller round. So really you're just going to need like one kind of either flat or angled brush for some of the tree trunks, and then a smaller liner brush for some of the small little lines in there. This is a number 2 script liner and a number 1 round in the VelvetTouch line. And then for the trees, you're going to want to have some sort of a scrubby kind of brush. This one's the Deerfoot Stippler 5/8 inch. Then I've got a 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch Willow's blenders, or a sponge. So you could pretty much do most of this with the sponge, and I'm going to show you how to do your tree trunks with a credit card. So if you don't have any brushes and you're like, you know, I don't want to go and invest in a bunch of brushes just to do a project, I will show you how to do the tree trunks with the credit card instead, and you'll need a sponge or something like that to do the trees. So
hopefully it's a low interest credit card.
And still, it still will need a large flat brush, but you could use a sponge brush or something like that if you. I love the Princeton line though, so they're our brush sponsor. They're awesome, and we have a link down in the description for all the materials that we're using. So if you are in need of anything, you can check that out. Click down the just little arrow there, and it'll pop down. All right, let me go over our colors really quick. I've got Carbon Black and Quinacridone Magenta, Cadmium Red Medium, and Cadmium Red Light, Unbleached Titanium, and Titanium White. And then these are both Carbon Black. They're just different forms. So this one's heavy body acrylics. This one's a little bit liquid. Same here, heavy body and liquid. I did have Zinc White on my list as well. So if you have that, you can use that for some of your clouds too, but I'm not going to use it. I figured a beginner's probably not going to have that color. So trying to keep it really super simple, like first time painting easy on this one tonight. And the nice thing about this project is that you can really adapt the colors to any color that you wanted to. So if you wanted to make your trees blue or green, or whatever color you want to do, you could do that really easy. So you would just want to have kind of like at least 2 different versions of that color, like a warm and a cool tone. So here we've got like a cooler tone that's of red that's like a kind of a pinkish, and then these warmer tones that are kind of closer to orange with our reds, and this one's right down in the middle. So that way we can kind of get a little bit of variety in our color. All right, let's start. So I'm going to wet down my large brush, and I'm going to grab some of my black, not a lot, because we're just going to do some color on our background here first and tone our background. So I'm going to get a lot of gray here, and our background is slightly dark gray. Not too bad. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. So we don't want it super dark so that our red can't show up against it, but we want it dark enough so that those white tree branches will show up when we paint them on. So I'm going to get a little bit more of this here. Yeah, there we go. And when we do the, I'll talk about the perspective here on our drawing once we get this done. Mark's going to dry it for us. So you'll want to have like maybe a hair dryer, or just you'll have to wait in between if you don't have a hair dryer that you can use to speed up the process of this drying. But you're going to want to do your background first, then let it dry completely before we do our next layer on it of our red. So in here there's kind of a, because of the perspective, it's kind of like a bowl shape in the sky. There's a little bit of a kind of a fisheye effect. So this part in here, these clouds and everything are kind of coming in around over here in a circle. So almost. So I'm going to get a little bit of white and just kind of start tapping in sort of where my clouds are going to go a little bit. And I can use the corner of that brush to sort of create a little softer bits of shapes there. A little bit more white. As we come down here, it's going to be a little bit lighter in color, a little bit darker right here in the middle, and then this area here is starting to get lighter as it goes around. And you can see I'm just kind of letting my brush stroke show. It's going to make it a little bit more painterly, and don't get too fussy with this first layer, because most of this is going to be covered up with all of our trees and other layers that are going to go over onto the top of it. You can also add a little bit of water to your canvas. I forgot to do that when I laid down my paint, but if you spray your canvas just a little bit with a little bit of water, it can help that paint absorb better into the canvas. So, all right. How are you doing tonight, hon?
Oh, I'm doing okay.
Got anybody watching tonight with us?
No.
Nobody?
No.
Everybody's sleeping?
I forgot to hit the start. I didn't want to tell you, but
well,
it's okay. If we miss one show, nobody will notice.
Nobody will notice?
Okay. No. Everybody in chat just doesn't think that we started yet.
Okay. Whatever.
No. A lot of the unusual suspects have shown up.
Awesome. Hey guys, hope you're having a good evening. Our fall weather has finally showed up here. It was so beautiful today. It was like 70 degrees all day long. It was awesome. Awesome, awesome. So this is a very appropriate painting. It makes me feel very fall-like. Awesome. It's been a while since we've done a super easy painting like this. So, well, I mean, the cotton bowls was pretty easy. That was a couple weeks ago, or last week. Was it last week? Maybe, yeah, last week. So they all blur together after a while. Yeah. So this one, I'm going to try to kind of do more of these, especially during the Christmas holiday seasons, because I know there's a lot of people that are wanting things for gifts, that it might be easy paintings that are not going to take them a whole long time to do, or maybe things that they can do with their kids while they're on breaks, for the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas and that kind of thing. So we're going to try to kind of at least have 1 or 2 a month that are these super easy projects like this. Hopefully, if you like these kind of projects, let me know. So if you want to see more of these, I know we've got all kinds of different levels of painting ability watching.
I just hit my thumbs up. I had forgotten.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. I think that's good. I'm just kind of trying to get sort of a soft blendy look there. And I'm going to give that to Mark. And he's going to take that and blow dry it for me. I'm going to really quick... Stop.
You said blow dry it.
Okay. Mark's in a weird mood tonight. Bless him. He gets up at 4 a.m., drives an hour and a half to work, and back, and then spends all day at work, going to meetings and all that kind of thing. And then he's a manager. So So anyhow, I appreciate Mark taking time to do this with us. I couldn't do it without him. All right, so I brought out a canvas just to kind of show you what we're going to be doing with our drawing. So our perspective is, if you look at the reference photo there, you can see those lines. It's a little bit offset, so they kind of, the center is just slightly off center, which is nice. And then it's right up, let me pull this down a little bit. It's right, our vanishing point is like right about up there. So if you take your reference photo and you draw a straight line out from these side branches here, where they intersect is going to be your vanishing point. So you can really easily do that with any photo that's kind of like this, and just kind of find a spot. It really doesn't matter what you pick. Just pick a spot, and then make sure that all of your lines kind of go out from it. And that's how you get this kind of perspective on these trees, where we're looking up and they're all kind of coming up like this. And then the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to have two kind of layers of trees in the red here. So we're going to have, well, actually kind of three. So we're going to have ones that are right at the top. Remember I said it's kind of like this rounded area here. So we're going to have some red things that are right at the top that are for the trees that are kind of closest to us. Then these ones are going to be a little bit farther away, and these branches aren't going to go all the way to the top of the canvas. They're going to only go up to about right here. And those will all stop right there. And then there's going to be a few that are really small that are like along the sides here. And those branches also are going to stop in those red spots. So there we go. Very good. Thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
I was telling how nice it is that you work all day and come home and do this with us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm a little lightheaded from blowing so much, but I'll be all right.
You're okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're silly. I can tell when you're tired because you...
I got my red solo cup here.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'm going to, let's see. What do I want to do? Yeah, let's go ahead and do our white clouds in here. And I'm going to go ahead and use a sponge, I think, for these. I'm going to do these a little bit looser than the green, than the red tree parts. So, which means I'm going to be doing them, I guess I should say a little tighter. So they're going to be a little closer together. And not kind of as fluffy as the red trees are. And I'm going to kind of come down almost like in a V shape right here with these clouds right up to the top. And just tap, tap, tap. I've got a little bit of this paint on my sponge here. I've wet it down. I'm kind of holding it and smushing it so that I can kind of control it pretty well. And I'm just going to smush around my clouds, and I'm going to let some of that gray show through. And if you use the back side of it, you can kind of pull off some of that color and create like some depth in your cloud a little bit. So I'm going to smush around some of that wet paint a little bit in some of these areas. You want to kind of keep your outside area with this kind of fluffy look, but I can kind of use my edge of my sponge to create some interesting shapes there. So kind of like run it in a circle a little bit there so that it's not repeating a pattern. And I am there. So I'm going to bring it out a little bit. Just want to make sure that I keep it kind of light and keep moving. Now this is starting to dry, so I don't want to go back over that right now. I can add more white later, but once it starts to dry, you kind of have to just let it set and come back to it. Otherwise, it will start to lift off the canvas. So this is going to dry pretty quickly because we're putting it on fairly thin, and I can grab some of the lighter gray also for down here. These ones down here are not quite as bright, not as obvious, a little bit smaller maybe. Okay, that's good. So let's do it again over here. And I'm leaving a little bit of the gray showing in some places. And again, kind of creating this sort of V shape here in our trees. And then I can bring some of it out a little bit, but there we go. See that? Let's get a little bit more of this. Maybe a little bit of that gray. Do another layer here. A little bit of gray in between. These clouds at the bottom of the canvas are going to be smaller because they're farther away than these ones that are up at the top. Okay, now I'm getting a little bit more of that white. And you want to make sure that we want to do all this white first before we do any of our red. So I want to make sure that I've got all of my clouds in where I want them before we do any of the red, because it's all going to be kind of laid in the background there. This is our backdrop to our dramatic red. I think we're pretty good there. I don't want to go super bright down here. The brightest part is going to be right up in here, up at the top. I think I'm pretty good with that. Alright, there's a tutorial in of itself, how to do clouds, right? It looks pretty cool, just on its own. Alright, so I'm going to set that aside there. Get a paper towel. And you can use sorry, this is going to be loud. You can use a glove if you want to keep your hands clean, because when you use those sponges, they get covered with paint. And actually, if I have one handy, I might grab one because I don't want to get cadmium on my hands. I'm trying to remember where I put my gloves. There's one in that bowl there? Is that one there? No?
No,
okay.
That's the one that's cleaner. And I'm not going to share my foot glove with you.
Okay.
If I knew where it was.
Oh, here it is. I found it. No. Yeah, that's one. Got one. All right. I'm going to use that. Cadmium is a kind of a heavy metal, so it can be not great to be getting it on your skin. I try not to get it on my skin if I can help it. It's probably not going to do any damage unless I am eating it, but I use so many, paints so often, it could build up in your system. So I don't think it's going to be an issue for most people. All right, so let me think. We want the red on next. I'm just making sure that this is dry. This is drying pretty fast. Just want to give it a little bit of time to dry. And like I said, when we do it, we're gonna do it in kind of in layers. So this bottom part here, from about right here to this bottom section right here, is going to be all kind of smaller little things. They're all actually pretty small. The ones up here are a little bit larger clumps, so they'll be a little bit bigger. But then down in here, there's going to be kind of these small random groupings of little tree sections. So if you want to, what you can do is grab some chalk and draw out kind of where your little clumps are going to go, or draw out your tree trunks. So we could do that ahead of time if we want to. just kind of go in here and say, okay, there's going to be a big one right here that comes down and bisects all the way down here. And then there's another big one right here that kind of curves out this way. And then there's a bunch of smaller ones in here. Just maybe put in our biggest ones so we kind of know where we're going to go. So this big one here is coming all the way from the outside of here all the way to right here. So remember I said our vanishing point is up here. So we're going to be aiming all of these toward it. And this one is right up here, bisecting up there. And then these ones are all kind of not quite going all the way off the canvas. They're ending a little bit before the top of the canvas. But then this one over here goes all the way off. And we're not really seeing it because it's not the right color. Let's see if we can put it in a color. I don't want to do anything too dark because I don't want to have to cover it up. But I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So right like that. And then there's going to be some in here that kind of go from that corner right over there. And there's just a ton of little teeny tiny trees that are going to be all in this bottom area here. So, all right, let's grab our little sponge here. And I'm just using a different sponge because it's clean. And I'm going to mix a little bit of my Cadmium Red Medium with my Quinacridone Magenta. That'll create a really vibrant, deep red. Really pretty for... And I'm going to smush that so it's really small. So I can really control where I'm going because I want to keep it pretty, pretty sparse. And I'm going to keep turning it every now and then so that I don't get a set pattern in my trees. And I don't want them to be kind of in a straight line either. So I want to leave a little space, do kind of a little clump, and then move over and do another little clump, and then move over, turn it as I go. Okay. These are really fun to do, and you can use these with kids. They really like this kind of sponges. They work really well, and they can do all of this. You can use craft acrylics that'll be a little bit more economic than the heavy body acrylics that I'm using, and a little bit easier to control too because they'll be a little bit thinner, so they'll sponge really well for you.
And then you can tell them that they can paint, quote unquote, paint like the bathroom countertops and kitchen countertops. Just give them a sponge and tell them that they're painting.
What are you talking about? Oh, yeah. When they're cleaning? Yeah.
No, not cleaning, painting. They got a sponge.
They got a sponge and they're going to paint.
They're
Help
going
you
to
paint the countertops.
An imaginary painting with magic paint.
I like that idea.
See? It's a win-win.
Somebody ought to come up with something like that for parents. Okay, so you can kind of see I'm trying to create some of these little individual clumps for our tree branches to go up into.
Okay, somebody wants to know, could they use a stapler instead?
A stapler?
I mean Stippler, sorry.
Okay. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure you could. So I'll show you how to use that. So if you're using Deerfoot Stippler, I don't wet it down with water. You want to keep it dry and just point the tip down. And it'll actually, these smaller ones, it's a little bit easier to use a brush like this. The bigger areas, it actually is nice to have the sponge because it covers more quickly. But when you're doing a more controlled areas on some of these smaller trees. This little stippler is nice to have. And the main thing is just want to keep it light. You scoop up a lot of paint on the brush, but then when you tap it, so there's a pretty decent amount of paint on there, but when you tap it, you tap really lightly and you only touch the top down, the tip of the brush down. And then that way you can kind of control where it's going. Kind of like we do with this, where we're squeezing it so we get just a little bit more controlled area. Now down here where I want to cover a little bit more area more quickly, I can kind of tap in, but you can kind of see where you get a little bit more solid when you do that. When you use that whole back end of the brush, it gets a little bit more solid color, so you just have to be kind of careful with that. Okay. And you can see the difference between this over the top of the dark and the top of the clouds, how much darker those trees look. So we'll definitely need to go back in and add another layer to those.
Lots of dead air.
Sorry, I'm concentrating. So you can kind of see sort of that pattern. I'm not wanting it to be super obvious, like, you know, circles or anything, so don't line them up too obviously, but when we do our tree trunks, it'll be more obvious what, you know, that motion that we're kind of going for, that scooped. Yeah, scooped effect there. These. Okay, pretty good. So I'm going to find another clean area here, and now I'm going to get the Quinacridone, both the cadmium, so get a little bit of that cadmium light, and that'll create a warmer highlight red color for us. Tap it out so you can see the little sponge opening up. You want to make sure that, yeah, there we go. And now I'm going to go over kind of towards the top of these trees, do a little of this color in each one of these kind of sections there. You can see how it's brightening it up. And this color will be really helpful on this dark gray because it's a lot lighter, so it's going to really make that pop for us, which we want. Pop pink's good. Really know of any other instances where popping is necessary. Not a common word. All right. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm in a bad, weird mood too.
That's okay. I think you were saying that the traceable will be up on Patreon later.
Yes, I did. That's what I meant. Okay. It's cute. Little trees. Make sure you're not covering all your clouds. You want to be able to kind of still tell that there's clouds there. So if you're not seeing that, you may want to pull back and not taste quite so much. When you get the sponge, it's easy to kind of just go for it. I tend to overdo. So I really have to stop every now and then, just kind of look and see what I've got. Because then I'll end up like covering every square inch with, and just keep on going until it's all covered. Oh, there we go. That looks good. Okay, pretty happy with that. Now this is the fun part. We get to see kind of when we do our tree branches, what we've got. Go ahead and take my glove off here. I'm going to get my larger angle brush. I really like using angle brushes or flat brushes to do lines because they hold a lot more paint. They go a lot. I think they're easier for beginners, believe it or not, to use for creating lines because they're just a little bit more stable than Spencer needs to stop. That's my son. Alrighty, so I'm gonna pick a color that is kind of a light, very light gray to start with, and I'm gonna have actually a couple different colors going on because there's some trees that are a little bit more gray than others. I'm gonna really press my brush flat so that I get a nice straight line on this, and I'm gonna pick these ones in the bottom here, and I'm just going to start doing these little lines to these trees way back in here. Keep it low. Keep these. Actually, I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger since don't press down real hard on these. I just want a ton of these little lines here. Oops, and I'm not paying attention to the direction that I'm going. Remember, I need to keep them angled. What am I doing?
I don't know.
I don't either. I'm just having fun drawing painting tree branches.
You're just like
not paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing today.
Yeah.
There we go. We gotta go. Remember, we gotta angle them towards our vanishing point. These are all wrong.
Yeah, you need to erase all those.
Well, it's too late now, but we're gonna have so many other branches in the way you won't notice them once I get done with it. Okay.
Did you ever use the picture I took in Kansas City?
No, I didn't. Not yet. We will.
It's like the best picture
Eventually.
ever.
Yeah, I know. It's a good one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, whatever.
Well, I mean, I've got 1,000 different things that...
That's a nice way to put it.
What are you talking about?
It's okay if you don't use it. I'll understand.
Okay. No, I like it, and people liked it too. I posted in my groups to get info, you know, whether they wanted to paint it or not, and they did. They liked it too. Just like I said, I haven't found the right time. It's kind of a interesting business, you know, trying to get the right tutorial at the right time to people. So it's all about timing.
True, Dad.
Oh, here's all these little bitty baby trees, and it's really pretty much filling up this whole bottom section. If we do it right, we're gonna almost not see the background here. I want to keep my brush strokes small and make sure that I'm always lining it up. I'm looking at this. Here I can do this one here. Really small. And if I kind of wiggle it, I can get kind of a uneven line. It's not Really, and then as I come down, I'm pressing down a little bit harder. So it's bigger at the bottom than it is at the top. The top, it's just barely teeny tiny. So let's do this one too. Same deal. Kind of using just the tip of the brush. I'm going to wiggle a little bit, and then as I get closer down, I'm going to start pressing down a little harder. There we go. Okay. Let's keep on going here. So these are my direction. And your tree trunks are going to be thicker as they go off the canvas. So if you get one that's a little bit thick in the middle, just kind of make it thick all the way through. If that makes sense. Just, you know, if I get one that's kind of got a weird spot there, then I know I'm going to have to just make it a little bit wider all the way up here, so that when I come down here I can widen it out and make it a larger tree. And there are some of the little side branches too. So, and this is where if you have like a liner brush or something like that that you're comfortable with using, you can get that out, wet down your paint a little bit, and use that. Let me see, I want my angle to, this angle is a lot more steep than this side. So this side is, since it's offset, these are a little bit more straight here. These ones are really angled, really dramatic. So these are coming out from here and coming this way. Make sure you go all the way to the bottom of the canvas, though. You want to go all the way down off the canvas. That's going to be important. This will be a little bit more difficult to use for a beginner than than the angle brush will. So it relies a little bit more on pressure. The angle brush just relies on kind of getting the direction right. There we go. Well, it's looking cool already. We're already kind of getting that perspective that we're wanting. Let's get some darker branches in here. Oh, some of these are darker. So this one that comes out to right in here is really dark. That. I'm going to go ahead and get it with this angle brush here. There we go. Okay, make this one a little bit wider. Just come off the canvas right here. And just narrow as it goes up the top. And there's a really big one right here, so I want to, this one's going all the way off the canvas. It's pretty large. So I'm pressing down fairly hard on this. Nice big cam. There we go. And then I'm going to go in with the white while I've got it there and it's wet. I'm just going to kind of come along the side of it and add some of the lighter color on there. Add a little bit of a shadow to it. I'm going to do that to all the larger trees. A little bit of a shadow. Or not shadow, a little bit of a highlight here in this case. There we go. So if you were going to use the credit card, what we would be doing is pretty much the same colors. We would be loading it with our thinner paint, so it'd be a little bit easier to manage. And you run a little bit of a bead, so you kind of scoop it along one side of your credit card here, and then we just run our lines this way. And it actually works pretty good. See that? So you're going to get a little bit of a different look, though, if you use the credit card, because it's going to be a little bit more irregular. I have other tutorials where I use the credit card, so you might want to check that out and see if you like that look before you commit to doing it. But it's really easy, and it definitely kind of has that sort of more kind of like a palette knife look, because that's basically what you're doing. You're just kind of converting it into sort of a palette knife, homemade palette knife. Okay, so let's get some of these bigger ones in here, going up to some of these. Getting some of that lighter color. Tapping some of that in on these. So now we're getting kind of more of our trees in here. I'm going to try to match up all these little clusters with a tree. So making sure that each one of these has its own kind of tree that's meeting up with it. So what I need to do is add a little bit more red right there, because I didn't quite match my, that stem kind of goes to nowhere, or that tree trunk goes to nowhere, so just making sure that I make sense. We're almost towards the end here. We're making pretty good time on this. This is one that you could do in a couple different sessions, like if you're, if you have younger kids that you don't think can sit through something like this, or you could even just have them do the first part and you do this part. If you don't think that they can hold a brush or create these lines, kind of thing. And there's these big ones that are affecting this corner here. And some of these we'll probably want to go back through. Now, if you want to get super fancy with it, you can come back through here and add smaller branches too, you know, to make it a little bit more authentic looking. So that's up to you. I'm trying to kind of wiggle a little bit, so I'm getting a little bit of movement there in my tree branch. It's getting sticky on me. It works better if your paint's a little bit more fluid when you're trying to do lines, so keep that in mind. If you've got a craft acrylic or something, this may be the time to pull it out to use for this kind of project. Get that white. Ooh.
Are you planning to splatter?
Yeah, I think I might. I think that it probably would look good with this one.
There's no reason to, but why the heck not, right?
Well, I mean,
We're
I think
here.
what splattering does is kind of unifies a painting, you know, it kind of like blurs all of the edges, although I don't know if I probably would have needed to do it already if I was going to do it, because pretty much at this point it's a little bit too late, because it probably would have been better to do it on these background sections than on these upper layers of these trees. I don't think we need it really in these, so maybe not. Okay, that's my chair popping there, making noises. Pretty cool, huh? So now I can either let's take a smaller brush like this, little round here, and I'm just gonna grab a little bit of this black. And, well, first I think I want to put in some white, so let's grab some pure white. Make sure it's not. Right, and I'm gonna, let me think what I want to do here. Yeah, I'll just kind of use it. Create some texture in my trees here. And some of these have, like, you know, shadows and things, so you can kind of get away with doing part of the tree and not others. So kind of maybe highlight just the parts that you think are important. not really loving this part. I think maybe I want a, get my smaller angle brush here, come in from the side and just pull from along the side here and add some not going to be on all of these trees, just a few of them. That, I don't know why I made that so big. Just make that big all the way up there. And then what I can do is take my Deerfoot Stippler, or one of these smaller stipplers. Let's use this one here. And I'm going to use some of this red and just kind of tap off sort of where these trees disappear a little bit. So some of these may need a little help where they kind of disappear into another tree. And also cover over a little, just a little bit of some of these upper ones, although I'm not really seeing a lot of overlapping, so the only place I would do it is kind of on some of these smaller ones. They might overlap each other, but they wouldn't overlap these bigger ones in front, so just kind of keep that in mind. I'm going to sort of tap in these far trees and not go over any of the branches that go up high. So these ones up here, I want to make sure that I don't put any red over the top of them down here. Just want where they end is where I'm concerned with. Just going to adding a little bit of closure there where it ends. It doesn't look really abrupt. If it does, you know, some yours may not, some of mine do. So, okay, there we go. This one's kind of lighter, so I'm going to use a little bit of the darker gray. I'm just going to go through here and just make sure that each of these big trees has some sort of either lighter or darker areas in there. And like I said, it doesn't have to go all the way to the top. It can just be kind of in sections. So the light's kind of hitting it between the trees. I'm going to get a little bit of the darker color. I'll do some of these over here a little bit darker. Adding a few really dark trees in here. Kind of give us a little bit of contrast. So they're not all same everywhere. These ones over here seem like they're a little bit more shaded. I'm going to give them a few little branches too. So right at the top there, and you can use a smaller brush if you need to. Right at the top there, kind of these bigger ones, I'm just going to add just a few little Little spots here, little branches coming out the sides. Very, very thin. Now I'm making it a little bit harder, so you can stop at any time that you're happy with this. This is kind of taking it to the next level. So these little branches here are kind of a little bit more, I think the next maybe a little bit more difficult, you know. So I wouldn't do them if you're not comfortable with using your liner brush or smaller lines, that kind of thing.
So the question came through asking what kind of paints you use. So you use the golden heavy body paints.
I do.
In the tubes.
Yes.
Do they do heavy body in like tubs or anything like that, or?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. I don't like them though.
Okay.
Because I like the tubes. I even in the bigger, I get the big 5 ounce ones, and then they come in the smaller sizes as well. This is 2 ounce size. So, but yeah, they'll have I think 8 ounces the next size, and it's like in a little thing, but they tend to dry out on me before I can use them, so I don't like them. All right, let me see. Getting some of that black now, and this will be kind of our last little thing here. I'm just going to add some little details to our to our trees. So just little spots and dots. That's all. Little kind of. And as they get farther up, they're going to get smaller. It's going to be harder to tell what they are. So don't do really big dot way up here. Keep your dots that are, larger for down here. That's more eye level, right? We'll be able to see the detail a little bit more on these ones that are towards the bottom. And then as they go up, you're just going to see little teeny tiny dots, maybe, if that. I'm using the fluid acrylic for this, so it's a little bit easier to use. I'm missing some of the bigger ones in here. I've noticed I didn't do some of these big, really big trees that are in here. So I'm going to thicken up some of the branches that are down low right here. Make some of these more obviously.
Oh.
What was that? Yeah.
That wasn't mine, that was yours.
What? Mine shouldn't be going off.
There's some kid on the front of your phone there.
My Daily Liam video.
Oh no, I just saw your wallpaper on your phone.
Oh,
So I'll take care of the business here.
okay.
So if you're new to the channel, hope you're enjoying what you're seeing, and hit the subscribe button and check out all the other videos that she has on, from beginner to advanced and all kinds of good stuff. Traceables are available at patreon.com/AngelaFineArt, right now, at the time of this shooting, it's $1 a month for all the traceables. All the way back to February 2017.
Yes.
And you can download as many as you want. It's a great deal. And then there's other levels. $5 level gives you traceables and access to a monthly bonus video.
Which are we doing this weekend?
The bonus video picture is up on the upper right-hand screen right now, so you can see what we're doing. So yeah, that's this weekend. And the $10 level also gets all of that, plus also access to a special Facebook page where they're doing challenge image with this owl and the fall foliage too.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
swing by, check it out.
Those are videos for exclusive for patrons.
And
They make all of these videos possible by keeping them free for everybody. So we really appreciate you guys that watch.
the over 2,000 people that are
It's
supporting
amazing.
on there.
Yeah, it's really been a blessing for our family. I can't say that enough. All right. Go back in here. I should have waited to do the highlights on this one. Okay. I mean, you can get real detailed with this, so I don't want to do too much to them, though. They're supposed to be easy, so I'm kind of bringing them into the realm of more difficult here.
So one of our unusual suspects has pointed out that it's the Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend.
Oh, wow. Well, happy
So
Thanksgiving to our
yeah,
Canadian cousins up there.
put on YouTube. You can watch it while you're eating dinner. I'm sure that's what you want to do with your whole family.
Start a new tradition. You never know.
Exactly.
Well, that's cool, though. So maybe they'll be off school. They can do some of this kind of things with their kiddos, if they're out of school, kind of thing. I always made my kids do some sort of art project at the holidays every year. We usually did ornaments, so my boys would. If we didn't do anything all year long, they at least once a year we did a new thing for the tree. It was pretty cool getting them out every year. We still see what they make. It's pretty cool.
So the actual Thanksgiving day is Monday, the 14th.
Cool.
So happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I'm sure they knew that.
I'm sure they knew that.
But you didn't.
And me, just like any other, ignorant American that I am, didn't pay attention to that. So
wow.
I apologize.
Oh, because you were saying it was Thursday?
Well, I said it was this weekend,
Ah.
but it's actually Monday.
I see. I wonder if they do it on the same, like they do it by the day of the week instead of, or the actual date instead of the day of the week like we do, which would make more sense. I've always thought that was kind of weird that we do Thanksgiving on a different date every year. It's hard to know. It's pretty late this year. It's actually usually like, it feels like earlier in the month, but it's kind of late this year.
So according to the interweb, it says that it is the second Monday of October.
Ah, okay. Very cool.
And they celebrate harvest and blessing for the year.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stop because I'm just making it worse, I think. So better.
Did you leave any open gray space?
Yeah, there's a little bit of open gray
so
space.
you can still see the clouds a little bit?
Yeah, you can.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, and you can like go off here and add some branches if you want to on some of these, like some of these ones that are the farther, the close-up ones. They've got these darker branches that come off of them, but I don't know if I want to get too detailed with it. Do those darker. It's okay. I'm gonna stop. Not too bad. About an hour project. And like I said, you can make it simple. Do a credit card or something like that. Same thing. Just you can load up the white and the black and just kind of do them both, and you'll kind of hit two birds with one stone if you use those. So anyhow, super chat. Yay. We need to work on that.
I need to take bell ringing classes.
I know.
So we had one super chat tonight, and that was from Krista, and she says, "Thank you for all the wonderful tutorials, you two."
Oh,
thank you, Krista.
thank you, Krista, so much.
And I think she's Canadian too, so happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yes.
If we don't
Awesome.
see you Saturday. But still.
Yeah.
No pressure. No guilt.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching with us tonight. And if you do this, you can tag me on your posts when you post it on your social media, if you do. And I like to see it. So do that. Give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll be back on Saturday with another tutorial for you. Saturday and Sunday this month, but the Sunday one is for the patrons, like we already mentioned. What are we painting Saturday? Ooh, a skull.
A
with
skull.
rose.
Ooh.
Okay, it's Halloween. I gotta do a spooky. I feel like I was feeling it this year. I saw that image and it had a rose in it, so I was like, okay, well, it's appropriate for our channel. We gotta have. I mean, if you're gonna do skull, you at least have to have a flower in it. So yeah.
And that'll be at 2 p.m. Central Time.
Yes.
On Saturday.
So I hope you'll join us for that. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.